It was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Shawshank Redemption, obviously,
great movie.
one of your most, yes, everyone loves it.
It was an experience of highs and lows. Honestly, it winds up being a lot of pressure. And it winds up being exhausting, and it winds up being an all-consuming thing. And then the movie comes out and nobody goes to see it.
It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, but nobody went to see it.
And when they put you in that cell, when those bars slam home, that's when you know it's for real.
In 1994, this was one of the biggest failures of the year. Number 9 at the box office. It lost money and disappeared. Today, it sits at the top of IMDb's list, above The Godfather, above Schindler's List. And it has refused to come down for 30 years. So how does a movie fail that badly, and then quietly become the film people name as their favorite more than any other?
I had people coming up to me and saying, I really liked you in that Scrimshaw Reduction. Like,
but the real question is deeper. What is it about this quiet little prison movie that gets its hooks in so deep that 30 years later, people stop whatever they're doing to watch it again? That's a movie doing something to you on purpose. But before you can see the master at work, you have to see what he was working with. Because on paper, this does not sound like a masterpiece.
Well, it's the story of a man named Andy Dufresne, who was a banker, who was convicted of double murder, the killing of his wife and her lover.
When they arrived, he went up to the house and murdered them.
No. Whether or not he is guilty is a question. But he gets sent to prison for a double life sentence.
I hereby order you to serve 2 life sentences back to back. 1 for each of your victims.
And in prison meets Morgan Freeman's character, Red.
That's it. That's the premise. A guy goes to prison, and then the film settles in and just stays there for 2.5 hours, decades of his life, inside these gray walls. On paper, it's the least exciting thing imaginable. And that's the first bit of magic, because it's not really Andy's story. Watch who's actually telling it to you.
It wasn't until a month went by that he finally opened his mouth to say more than 2 words to somebody.
The guy who's been inside so long, he's become the man who can get things.
It's a specialty item. Risk goes up, price goes up. It's making it even $10.
And the genius move Darabont makes, straight out of Stephen King's novella, is that we never really get inside Andy's head. We watch him the way Red watches him, from the outside, trying to figure him out. When Andy first shows up, Red actually bets against him.
A tall drink of water with a silver spoon up his ass.
That can never happen.
10 cigarettes.
He's wrong.
His first night in the joint, Andy Dufresne cost me 2 packs of cigarettes.
And the whole film is Red, slowly, grudgingly, being proven wrong about this man. And that's our journey too. We're right there next to Red, watching this guy who won't break, who won't get bitter, who moves through the worst place on earth like he knows something nobody else does. We're leaning in with the narrator, trying to solve him. That's why it grips you. You're not being told about Andy. You're studying him and Freeman's voice.
So when Andy Dufresne came to me in 1949 and asked me to smuggle Rita Hayworth into the prison for him, I told him, no problem.
Half the reason this film works is that the whole thing is narrated in the warmest, most lived-in voice in movie history. It feels like an old man telling you the most important story of his life. You'd follow that voice anywhere. Now, the film could just coast on that. Sad prison, nice narration. But Darabont does something much smarter. He builds the entire movie out of these little pockets of grace. Moments where, for just a second, the walls disappear. And the most famous one is up on a roof. Andy and a work crew are tearing the roof of the license plate factory, and Andy overhears the captain of the guards, complaining about taxes on some money he's inherited.
At the end of the year, you figure the tax wrong, you gotta pay him out of your own pocket. I tell you, Uncle Sam.
And Andy just walks over, with the guards' backs turned, which, the first time you watch it, is heart-stopping, because you're sure he's about to get thrown off the roof. And instead, he offers to help.
I'd only ask 3 beers apiece for each of my co-workers.
Co-workers, get him. That's rich, ain't it?
And you get this scene.
We sat and drank with the sun on our shoulders and felt like free men. We were the lords of all creation.
And here's the detail I love. Andy doesn't drink. He sits off to the side, in the shade, watching the others, with this little smile. Because it was never about the beer. He did the whole thing to give his friends 15 minutes of feeling human again. That's who this character is. A man keeping his own humanity alive by protecting everyone else's. And then there's the one that gives me chills every single time, the opera. Andy gets his hands on a record, locks himself in the warden's office, and plays it over the prison's loudspeakers for everyone. And the film cuts to the yard, and every man just stops.
I have no idea to this day what those two Italian ladies were singing about. Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid.
That's the movie. That's what it's actually about. Not prison, freedom, the kind they can't take from you. Andy even says it out loud to Red later, when Red tells him music is dangerous in a place like this, that it'll only make it worse.
I played the mean harmonica as a younger man. Lost interest in it, though. Didn't make much sense in here.
And Andy says no. That's exactly why you need it. So you don't forget. Forget that there are places in the world that aren't made of stone. That there's something inside you they can't get to. That's yours. And this is why the film is a masterpiece and not just a nice story. Darabont is not naive about hope. He shows you the other side of it. He shows you what the walls do to a man who stays too long. His name is Brooks. Brooks is the old man who runs the prison library. Been inside 50 years. And when he finally gets paroled, when he finally gets the thing everyone's supposed to want, it destroys him. Because he doesn't know how to exist out there anymore. Red explains it in the coldest, truest line in the film.
Brooks ain't no bug, just institutionalized.
But I'm telling you, these walls are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them.
And Brooks, alone in a rented room in a world he doesn't recognize, carves "Brooks was here" into a beam and hangs himself. It's devastating. And it's the film being honest. Because now hope isn't a greeting card. It has a body count. Now you understand what Andy is actually up against. Not just the prison, but what the prison does to your soul over time. Red even warns him.
Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane.
So when Andy refuses to let go, it carries weight. He's not blind to reality. He's choosing this with his eyes wide open, despite everything. Which is what makes the payoff land like a freight train. Because you've spent 2 hours in the gray. You've watched Brooks die from it. You've watched Red give up on hope entirely. And Andy, in his last conversation with Red before it all happens, quietly lays out the only real choice a person ever gets.
I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
And then, the storm. That image from the very beginning. Andy, who's been digging that tunnel behind his poster for 19 years, in secret, this whole time, without you or Red or anyone knowing, crawls through 500 yards of filth and comes out the other end into a thunderstorm and rips his shirt open and throws his arms up at the sky. And it lands like a bomb because you earned it. 2 hours in the gray, and now the sky opens up. That's Roger Deakins, one of the greatest cinematographers alive. And the whole look of the film has been building to exactly this. He shot the entire prison cold and muted and drained on purpose, so that when the rain finally comes, it feels like the first real breath you've taken in the whole movie. The film buried its own catharsis so it could detonate right here. And Darabont knew exactly what that moment was doing. This is him on that shot. And here's my favorite detail. That incredible, soul-lifting shot in the creek was filmed in actual cow manure. They literally had to sterilize the water. I mean, the most surpassing scene in the movie, shot in a river of filth. That's the entire film right there. Beauty dragged straight out of the muck. So now, let's talk about 1994. Because knowing all of this makes what actually happened almost impossible to believe. This film, this thing we've just walked through, came out and failed. It made about $16 million against a $25 million budget. Part of it was the title nobody could pronounce. Morgan Freeman jokes that they shortened it to something no one could say.
Now, don't choose Shawshank Redemption when you got Rita Hayworth.
Yeah, that's the best.
Part of it was the year. Pulp Fiction opened the same day. Forrest Gump was everywhere. But mostly, look at everything I just showed you. The the patience, the slow burn, the 2-hour wait for one breath of air. You cannot sell that in a 30-second trailer. This is a film that only works if you give it time. And here's the beautiful part. And people who'd never risk a ticket on a movie they couldn't name would risk a $3 rental. And they had time. It became the most rented film in America in 1995. Then cable. TNT ran it constantly, endlessly, and it became the movie that's always on, the one you catch by accident on a Sunday and can't turn off. It spread the only way patient art ever spreads. One person quietly telling another. The same slow, invisible, patient force that Andy used to dig through a wall. The box office looked at this film and said what it says to every man inside. You don't belong out there. You'll never make it past these walls. And in his letter, Andy leaves Red. And honestly, without knowing it, leaves this whole film, its own epitaph.
Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Turns out he was right about that too.